Ladies and gentlemen, I scoured the internet searching high and low for the best possible picture for this story that I'm about to do on Larry Elder on reparations that just came out. What better picture could I use? So let's get into this story. Let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Elder recently on Fox News voiced his opinion about, San Francisco. They want to give the Black residents there that are descendants of slaves $5 million each. So Larry Elder reared his head to give his opinion on this. Larry Elder takes aim at San Francisco's $5 million reparations plan. When do we stop? Conservative TV and radio host Larry Elder on Thursday took aim at a new proposal by San Francisco's Reparations Committee to pay each Black longtime resident $5 million, while warning that the movement in support of reparations is growing as young people are being indoctrinated into supporting narrative. Well, why shouldn't they support it if they're a descendant? It doesn't matter that they're young. I think the movement is growing, Larry Elder told Fox News Digital in an interview. Young, woke people are being indoctrinated into believing that systemic racism, structural racism, historical racism is why Black people are underachieving. And you know what, y'all? When it comes down to Jesse Lee Peterson and Larry Elder and even Candace, they all know this stuff is true, but they are getting paid by their handlers. So this is why they talk like this. But believe me, when they're not in earshot of their handlers, they know these things that are being brought up about reparations is true. They do. But they know what to say in front of their handlers. So let's go on. Elder, who previously ran for governor, yeah, that was funny. I did a video when he went down to go around the homeless on Skid Row, and they literally ran him out of there. Now that was funny. that was real funny. All right, so Elder, who previously ran for governor of California, was reacting after San Francisco African American Reparations Advisory Committee, which advises the city to develop a plan for reparations for Black residents, released a draft report last month to address reparations for what it considered 300 years of repression and discrimination for which Black Americans deserve compensation. It cites government policies, Jim Crow laws, and redlining for causing the wealth gap between white and Black communities. While neither San Francisco nor California formally adopted the institution of chattel slavery, no, you didn't, but you still practice racism. You still practice racism in many other forms. So, no, you don't get to escape from the crime scene. So, the tenets of segregation, white supremacy, systemic repression, and exclusion of Black people were codified through legal and extra legal actions, social codes, and judicial enforcement, the draft states. Okay, well, I don't see anything that's false in there, Larry Elder. The draft plan includes a long list of financial recommendations for Black San Francisco residents, including a one time lump sum payment of $5 million dollars to each eligible individual. Now, if you give that kind of money, I would recommend those people to get it to get out of California, because as long as y'all stay in California with $5 million, dollars, it's not going to last long. You best to pack up and go somewhere where the cost of living is a lot cheaper. And then you'll get to really hold on to that money for a long time. So while there has been significant outrage over the proposal, Elder was not surprised by the plan originating in San Francisco. My first reaction is, what would you expect from that city? He quipped. Elder defined reparations as the distraction of money from people who were never slave owners to be given to people who were never slaves. So, Larry, you're going to overlook all of the Jim Crow and all the discrimination laws and mass incarceration, the crack epidemic, you know, and the over policing. So, you're going to ignore that and just look at slavery. Well, I can see why it's going over your drug addict head, Larry. So he also highlighted the connection between Democrats and both slavery and oppressive system like Jim Crow. Yes, but one thing when it comes down to racism, Republicans and Democrats, you're all full participants. That's one thing. That's one thing y'all do agree on, is racism towards us. Y'all wholeheartedly agree. So they were also the party of Jim Crow. All of the Southern governors and senators were the ones supporting Jim Crow, and the greater percentage of Republicans voted for Civil Rights Act in the House and the Senate than Democrats. Democrats founded the Klan. And today, how many of those people in the Klan are Republicans? Today. Today, Larry Elder, how many? Plenty. Okay. They're the Make America Great Again crowd. And trust me, many of them are Klan members. I don't say the Democratic Party, but Democrats founded KKK. Yes, they did. And like I said, who are the members of that KKK today? Are they all Democrats? I don't think so. So, Elder argued that the money would do nothing to solve the underlying issues facing Black Americans. Well, that's okay that you take that position, Larry Elder, because I tell you what, that 5 million that you don't want, you can pass it on to me. I certainly know what to do with it, such as the breakdown of family, and it would serve to exacerbate racial disharmony. Well, we're not responsible for that. We're not responsible for that. Okay, you need to address your handlers on that. We're not responsible for the racial disparities in America that started centuries ago by your handlers, Larry Elder. Yeah, how's that watermelon, by the way? So the money won't do any other than anger people who are on the hook of paying them, with nothing to do with the conditions I just mentioned, and will create a great deal of racial strife and tension in America, and will create a desire for other people who feel they have been warned for money as well. Well, first of all, Larry, we have been living under those conditions without reparations. So, who the hell cares about all this division talk when we've been living under divisions with no reparations? So, the way I see it, what you're describing is the same old, same old. It really is. Okay. When have we been united in America with no reparations? Give us an instant on when this country came together and we were 100% united. Give the example. Give the example. Okay. So, how can it cause a division that was already there? The divisions are already there and it's been in place for centuries. So, how can the divisions get worse than what we've already seen? That's why nobody's listening to that kind of talk. All right. Nobody is listening to you. All right. You keep acting like there was some era where there was some harmony going on up in here. There was no harmony. It never happened and it never will happen with or without reparations. There's no harmony that's going to happen in America. You could argue that women were shafted out of social benefits and financial benefits by not having the right to vote until early in the 20th century. Yeah, but whose system put them through that? It sure wasn't the Black community. Okay, so if women feel slighted over voting, then they need to see their own people over that. So virtually every group can make a case on why that group is entitled to something. No, they really can't. Larry, which group were the ones involved in chattel slavery? Because, all these groups are talking about hardships. But when I look at those photos, I only see us in the photos. I don't see white women. I don't see Mexicans. I don't see Asians. I just see us. I don't see other groups. So when you keep bringing up other groups, this and other groups that, well, when you can show me a picture of them out on them fields, like my forefathers was, then we can talk. But as long as we don't see nothing like that, I'm not going to pay attention to that kind of talk. I'm not. Moving on. He noted that reparations were once a fringe idea that has caught on dramatically in recent years, along with other ideas to rectify past wrongdoings. Whoever said compound interest is the greatest force in the universe never encountered white guilt, he quipped. We're not responsible for white guilt. We are not responsible for white guilt. That's on them. We're not responsible for that. So, moving on. As for how people can be helped to succeed in life, elder advice was simple. For the most part, if you work hard, invest yourself, avoid the criminal justice system, don't have kids before you're 20, get married first, you will not be poor. That is not true, Larry Elder, because what you're overlooking is Black folks that are sabotaged on jobs, wrongfully fired, enduring racism every day on jobs, hanging nooses, written racism on bathroom walls, employers acting out against Black employees only, bosses sitting in their office and trying to protect the perpetrator. So you're leaving a lot out. And if the workplace was so great in America, you wouldn't have the amount of lawsuits that you're looking at against many of these businesses out here. So you can miss me with that. And as far as avoid the criminal justice system, then try to explain to all of us why there's so many exonerations in America. Okay, those folks weren't trying to get into the justice system, but they were snatched off of the street by some heartless, demonic cop and then had to go through this demonic injustice system, and they ended up in jail for decades. I'm sure that person was trying to avoid the criminal justice system too. Okay. And that's what we ought to be telling people instead of you're owed something, even though you're not the one who picked cotton. No, we are not the ones that picked cotton, but we are certainly the ones that have suffered from generational racism. That racism against us went down through the generations and it's still being taught. That's why you're seeing school kids at school and they are being racist towards the black students because it's been passed down through the generation. And see, if you're going to only talk about one side, Larry Elder, and not what's going on the other side, then your point is counterproductive because you're only trying to talk against one thing, but you're not talking about the system that has been in place for hundreds of years. So, therefore, your argument is like half ass. It's a half ass argument. And he said, "You're not the one who suffered because of Jim Crow." Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Jim Crow has been around for 100 years. And yes, many of us have lived through Jim Crow that are living today. Yes, that's where you're wrong. So, yes, many people that are breathing right now lived through Jim Crow. And yes, it's still going on because the courts and policing and the medical institution and this government still treats us like it's Jim Crow. So no, we're definitely living through Jim Crow even now. You certainly were not the ones that were slaves. Larry, Larry, don't America still pay slave wages when people go behind bars? When people go behind bars because of their constitution, those people are slaves today. They don't get paid or they get pennies on the dollar for their labor. That is slavery. And that is going on today, Larry Elder. Again, you have a very half ass argument. That's why you're the raccoon with the watermelon, buddy. The mentality is you are entitled to something, you are owed something, and that's probably the most damaging thing of all. Well, like I said, Larry, if they get that $5 million, you make sure you fork it on over to me. I have no problem taking it. Yes, it's owed, it's due, it's long overdue. This topic should have been taken care of a long time ago. But since everybody wants to, and by the way, these people stepping up talking about, I'm not paying, nobody's asking you for nothing. This comes from the government. If you didn't complain about Ukraine getting money, the Jews getting money, the Native Indians getting money, the Japanese getting money, we don't want to hear from you either. So y'all can miss us all with that. I'm not giving this and I'm not giving that. You can miss us all. But y'all, please tell me what you think about this video. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.